Hey guys, Jennifer here with the Family Fudge, and welcome to Bunches of Lunches Halloween Edition. On this channel, I love making fun lunches for every single holiday. But when it comes to Halloween, I usually try to make as many fun recipes as I can during the entire month of October. But this year, however, since we were traveling in October, I only had 1 week to fit in as many festive foods and lunches as possible. So in today's video, I'm sharing 4 spooky lunches from the week, and these lunches were all subscriber requested. These lunches are super festive but easy to make. In this video, the kids are also sharing their Halloween costume reveal, and I'm throwing in a bonus lunch from our Halloween campsite at Disney World. Holiday camping has been a family tradition of ours for the last couple of years, and if you've never seen it before, it's definitely not like traditional camping. Now don't forget to like and subscribe if you haven't already, and now let the lunches begin. Okay guys, I'm kicking this week off with a lunch for my oldest son Jackson, and this idea was sent in by Prettiest Pigeon. She writes that she would love to see another way to use the skull pan that I have. In the past, I've made pizza-filled ones a couple of times, and I've also made a brownie version, very similar to the one that they have at Disney World this year. First, I'm going to start by spraying my pan just to make sure that nothing sticks. And then, to switch things up this year, instead of using pizza dough, I thought I'd try using these grand biscuits instead. Now these are the regular ones, not the flaky ones, but I am going to need to roll these out so the dough is not too thick. Once I have the dough rolled out, I'm going to gently get it into my skull pan. And now it's time for some ham and cheese. First, I'm adding half a slice of sharp cheddar cheese. This is going to add a lot of flavor. And then I'm going to add in some chopped ham. And this is actually just lunch meat that I chopped up. Once that's in there, it's time for some more cheese. But this time I'm using a deluxe American style cheese. And this is gonna get nice and melty and gooey. Next, I need to top these with more dough, but to make sure that the dough sticks, I'm going to brush a little bit of water on the edges before I add the top piece of dough. And hopefully these are gonna stick. I haven't made these before, but I'm hoping for the best. These cook at 350 for about 15 minutes. And check it out, you guys. As you can see, some of the cheese has already started to leak out, but they do smell really good. Now, I just hope they come out of the pan. These really do look like a big Halloween version of a Hot Pocket. Now that this is cooled down enough, I can go ahead and add one of these to Jackson's lunchbox. Next, for some fruit, I'm adding in a nice fresh kiwi. And then for the veggie, I tried my best to cut some carrots into pumpkin shapes. For a snack on the side, I picked up a bag of the Halloween Babybel cheeses. Now I love all these spooky designs, but I'm gonna go ahead and add in just one jack-o'-lantern and one skeleton. And then for something crunchy, I'm adding a bag of these monster veggie chips. But honestly, you guys, I don't think they look very monster-y at all. Now, normally I like to get the Halloween ghost and bat chips, but they were already sold out. And then you guys, for a very special sweet treat, I made Jackson this graveyard dirt pudding. This is super fun and spooky, but of course easy to make. First, I started by mixing up some chocolate pudding, then I set that in the fridge for just a few minutes to set up. Next, I took some Oreos and I did go ahead and get the Halloween ones. And you guys, I knew that these Halloween ones would sell out. So I actually bought most of these Halloween treats before we went on our trip. So to the separate container, I started by adding the pudding. On top of that, I added the cookie dirt. And then to create more of a graveyard look, I just took one of these Milano cookies, and with my food writer pen, I added RIP. That gets stuck right into the pudding to look like a tombstone. And then lastly, I added a few Halloween sprinkles for good measure. Then finally, for the drink, I'm adding in some witch's brew, which is actually just some grape flavored water. Next up, I'm making a lunch for Mackenzie, and this lunch was inspired by Alicia Jane. And she writes, I would love to see mini Halloween style cheese balls. Now you guys, one of my favorite snacks to make for Halloween or for Thanksgiving is this pumpkin shaped cheese ball. It's great with crackers, veggies, or pretzels, and it's great for any party. Now I'll go ahead and link this video if you want to see exactly how I made this one. It's actually pretty easy to put together, but it does take some time to set up in the fridge. So because of that, for today's lunch, instead of making individual cheese balls, I'm gonna go ahead and make a cheesy dip that tastes just like the cheese ball, but it's a lot faster to put together. Oh yes, and you guys, this cheese ball doesn't actually taste like pumpkin, it was just pumpkin shaped. So for this recipe, I'm gonna start by adding 1 block of room temperature cream cheese. Then to this, I'm also adding a cup of sour cream, half a cup of mayo, 1 packet of dry ranch mix, some chopped green onion, and then I'm adding half a teaspoon of both garlic powder and onion powder. And then I'm just going to mix this up until it's well combined. Now to this, I'm also adding 2 cups of shredded cheddar cheese. This is going to add a lot of flavor, but it's also going to make our dip kind of orange, which is perfect for Halloween. And then lastly, I'm adding about 3 strips of pre-cooked and crumbled bacon. Now I'm just going to fold this all in together. Now you guys, you could add this to a baking dish and heat it up in the oven, and then you would have a delicious hot cheese dip, but it's also great just as it is. Now instead of just plopping this dip right into the lunchbox, I'm going to use my pumpkin cookie cutter to contain the dip. And to make this look more like a jack-o'-lantern, I'm going to take my kitchen scissors and I'm just cutting out some salami to create that jack-o'-lantern face. And speaking of salami, I'm also rolling up a few slices. I added those to some picks and then I cut them in half. Now to go along with the dip, I have lots of little snacks to add. Now I was looking for the Halloween pretzels, but they were also sold out. So instead, I'm just adding some mini Triscuit crackers. These are so good with the dip. Now moving on to lots of veggies. This dip is also really good with celery and carrots. So I'm adding plenty of both. And you guys, I often like to stop and actually make sure that these don't stick up too high. Otherwise, this bento box will not close properly. I have made that mistake before. Next, for the fruit, I'm adding in some green grapes with a couple of eye picks. For the sweet treat, I'm going to add some eerie critter cookies. Now, these are just a Halloween version of the classic sprinkle cookie, but I do have to say that I found something strange about this box. Some of the bags of cookies had a bunch of cookies in them, while other bags only had like 5 little cookies in them. Then finally, for the drink, I'm putting together some Frankenstein punch. Now this is just apple lime water flavoring mixed with lime sparkling water. Okay guys, now that brings me to a lunch for Griffin. And for him, I'm making a lunch requested by Useful Aesthetic Finds. For this lunch's main course, they requested the Halloween version of Cheetos mac and cheese. Now you guys, if you've never tried Cheetos mac and cheese, it really does taste a lot like Cheetos, and it has the same bright orange color. But of course, in the Halloween version, instead of regular pasta, it has skeleton-shaped pasta. And I know I've said this before, but anytime you make shaped pasta like this, you really want to try not to overcook it. Otherwise, the shapes tend to fall apart and they get mushy. Now this mac and cheese came out perfect, but to make it a little bit more festive, I'm going to add some olives on top, and I kind of want this to look like a creepy bug. Next, for the fruit, a jack-o'-lantern orange was requested. So I just used my Food Writer pen to draw on the face. To go along with that, I'm adding some extra black olives. And then right next to those, I'm adding some grapes. And now that brings me to the crunchy snacks. I'm adding in something that I brought all the way back from London. These are called Vampire Fangs, and I bought them at a store called M&S. Basically, the packaging sold me. It's so funny. It says vampire fangs, freshly extracted and extra cheesy. They could cause a pain in the neck, and they're not for suckers. Now, I did give these a little taste test, and to me, they taste like a fancy Cheeto. Next, for the sweet treat, I'm adding in one of these Halloween Pocky packs. And then for the drink, useful aesthetic finds requested, Halloween spiced hot chocolate. I'm just gonna add that on the side. Next up is a lunch for my daughter Lily, who is having a birthday soon. She's going to be 10 years old, you guys. I cannot believe it. Now, this lunch request actually came by email. It came from Emmy from California, and she asked if I could make a breakfast-themed Halloween lunch. And you guys, I was really excited to see this lunch request because I just found the new Ghost Mini Dash Waffle Maker. This one is so cute, and I especially love that it's purple on the outside. Now, keeping with our Halloween for breakfast theme, I do want to go ahead and use this pumpkin protein mix. And the box says you could just add water with this mix, but if you want to make it have more protein, you're supposed to use milk instead of water, and then you add in an egg. Next, I'm going to add in one of these unsweetened applesauce pouches. Now, I found these ones at Target, and I love that it has a Halloween design on the outside. And then for the veggie, I'm going to make some cucumber ghosts. And for this, I'm just using some mini cucumbers. First, I slice them lengthwise, then I cut a little zigzag at the bottom, and then I like to use a metal straw to punch out the eyes. Next, I'm adding in some cantaloupe, and I'm just using a cookie stamp to cut these out. That way they look like little jack-o'-lanterns. Next, for a crunchy snack, I'm adding in some of these ghost cheddar puffs. Now, to me, these don't really look like ghost shapes, but that's okay. They're still gonna taste good. And then over in this section, I have a separate container for some vanilla Greek yogurt. Now, I do want to go ahead and jazz this up a bit by adding just a few Halloween sprinkles. And then I have just enough space for a little syrup to go with the ghost waffles. On the side, I'm also throwing in a ghost string cheese. And for the drink, a little ghost milk. Okay friends, and now for that bonus lunch. Now this one comes from the Disney World Campground Fort Wilderness, and camping here is something that we really enjoy doing as a family, and we've been able to do it for the last couple of years at Halloween time and at Christmas time. And you guys, this campground is so massive. You really do need a golf cart to get around. So when we got there, we picked up the golf cart that we rented, and then we headed over to our campsite. And sadly, this may be the last time we use this RV. We bought this RV right as everything was shutting down back in 2020, and renovating it kind of became our quarantine project. Now I do have a separate video showing the entire process, and I'll go ahead and link that video down below if you want to check it out. This makeover came out so cute and has held up really well over the years. But now, as the kids are getting older, it's just feeling too small for our sized family. Honestly, you guys, one of the best parts about camping at Disney during the holidays is that almost everyone decorates their campsite and their golf cart. But more on that later. Check-in time at the campground is usually around lunchtime for us. So on these really busy days, I like to pack a lunch that is easy but still fun. Before we left home, I put together some Hawaiian bread sliders. These have ham, turkey, cheese, and pepperoni. And then I like to bring the condiments on the side because not everyone in the family is a fan of mayo or mustard, so they can add that themselves. To go along with these sandwiches, I also brought some baby carrots and some apples. The kids requested pickles, so I got a jar of those. And then for something crunchy, I brought some Cheetos. And for a sweet treat, I grabbed a box of these scary cakes. Oh yes, and for their drinks, I went ahead and picked up these super cute Halloween tumblers from Target, and we're just putting water in these. After lunch, we got everything cleaned up, and it was time to set up our campsite decorations. Now, I know this looks like quite a lot of stuff, but I'm going to show you some of the other amazing campsites here, and in comparison, ours is somewhat minimal. Now, as we're setting up, I like to bring a small speaker, that way we can listen to some music. We really just have a fun and relaxed rest of the day. And it pretty much takes us until dark to get everything put up. And you guys, here's how it looks at night. I just love it. After dinner, we all hopped on our golf cart so we could ride around and look at all of the other amazing setups. And you guys, there were so many. Two of my favorites had to be this Jurassic Park themed site. This one was so elaborate. They had gates and they had projectors and they even had a Jeep. This was super cool. And then this one is also one of my favorites. And just like us, these guys come every Halloween and Christmas. I actually remember these guys from last Halloween. That's when they had a witch theme. And then we also saw these guys last Christmas. That's when they had a Frozen theme. So the next day, it was time for us to put on our Halloween costumes and head over to Mickey's Not-So-Scary Halloween Party. This year for Halloween, Mackenzie dressed up as a Swiftie, Lily went as the Cheshire Cat, Jackson dressed up like a taco, and Griffin went as a poppet, which, by the way, was the most popular costume in our group. He got so many compliments on this one. Everywhere he went, people were smiling at him, especially other little kids. They loved his costume. And then John and I just wore matching Halloween outfits. And that's it, you guys. Thank you so much for joining me on this super fun Halloween week. and I hope you all have a very happy Halloween.